This week we are continuing with our before and after transformations of different rooms in the Manor. And this week we are going to be focusing on the Thirsty Whippet Pub. Now the question is, do you remember what that space looked like before we started the work on renovating the space to become the Thirsty Whippet Pub? Well, if you don't remember or you weren't around a few years ago when we started that renovation, you are going to find out today, because I'm going to show you right back to day one on how that space looked before we even started any work to how it looks today. And we also have an exciting new announcement about an addition that's coming to the Thirsty Whippet Pub in the next few weeks that you will not want to miss. And don't forget, if you're enjoying our videos, make sure you hit subscribe on our YouTube channel, The Ladysmith Manor Diaries, to ensure that you see all our videos when we first put them out. But first, let's go back and see how the Thirsty Whippet Pub became the Thirsty Whippet Pub.
So this is how the pub looked when we first moved in. There was no insulation in the walls. The floor in certain parts underneath this flooring was rotten, and water had been pouring in from a leak in the chimney, so that the plaster on some of the walls was disintegrated. It was not in good shape. And so to open up the space, we decided the first job was to take out this wall. And we got a wonderful surprise when we started taking down this plaster and found this fabulous chimney behind the wall.
So we've just finished day one of our renovation in the pub, and as you can see from our faces, we're ready for a shower. Yeah. But we had a really good day. We've got almost all the plaster off in both the rooms. So we're going to get up early tomorrow and start at it again.
Yeah, and you can tell who's been working the hardest by the dirtiest face.
I had a mask on.
We took off all the plaster on all the walls to allow us to insulate, and also we moved this door into the entrance of the pub so it was more accessible from the hallway outside. With the plaster all removed, we ended up with piles and piles of lath and a lot of dirt that we had to clean up. We were so excited to find this beautiful chimney behind the wall, and it was covered in soot and dirt, but we knew we wanted to leave it exposed as one of the character features in the pub, and so the big job was cleaning it up. And it was worth all the hard work because it came up beautifully. I knew I wanted to have feature walls in the pub, particularly behind the bar, so I found this gorgeous wallpaper in this deep burgundy color with the gold woodland animals on, which was perfect for the feature wall. One of the biggest challenges with an old house is the floors are never even, so we had to do a little bit of filling to get the floor even before we could start adding tile and flooring. This beautiful tile we decided to put under our fireplace mantle area that we were going to create at one end of the pub. And then we were able to finish the hardwood floor around it. With the flooring done, it was time to start working on the actual bar. And so we built countertops using metal frame shelving that we got and butcher block pieces for the countertops that Stephen cut so they fit nicely into the windows. With a little bit of stain and top coat, they came out beautifully and had this really nice, rich color to them. It was now time for us to build the front part of the bar, which we were very excited to start work on. We laid down the tape on the floor so we knew where we were going to build it. And then Stephen built the frame around our bar fridge and our ice maker so that it all fit together. The oak we decided to use for the top of the bar actually came from an old oak tree that was standing in our yard when we moved in, but we had to have it cut down. It was partly rotten. And so we had the wood from the tree milled and planed, and we then used pieces of that wood for the top. And it has this beautiful grain and is part of the history of the house, which was a lovely addition to the pub. We also recycled some wainscoting that we found upstairs in the manor. We planed each piece down and then stained it so that we could use it as the front pieces on our bar. The end result far exceeded our expectations. It had this amazing richness to it that really felt like it brought in the heritage of the house.
So today I am putting the top coat on the top of our bar here in the pub. And this is the oak that we use from the tree that we cut down outside. We've stained it, and now I've let the stain dry. I always like to leave it several days just to ensure that it's all dried. And now I'm putting the clear coat on. And I think we're going to be putting 4 coats of this on just to give it a really good hard-wearing top. It's kind of just it's a slight satin finish, so it really brings the grain out beautifully and just makes it really easy to wipe down and clean and stops any of the wood getting damaged. So I'm really excited to see it with this top coat on, because I think it's going to just really make the wood look even nicer than it does already.
Stephen decided to pour concrete countertops in the pub, and as it was the first time he'd ever done this, he built a frame, and the big question was, will it work or will the liquid concrete drip through?
Guessing which are responsible.
I see no drips.
Sorry?
Nothing's pouring anywhere.
Oh, so you can see it drip.
No, I don't. No, I can't see a drip. I'm saying I can't see any dripping. Your siliconing and your wood has held so far.
The wood's not gonna. I knew that's gonna work.
The moment of truth. Oh, look how good that looks.
Needs a little bit of a cleanup.
Nice. And it's so smooth. Good job.
Stephanie donated these gorgeous chandeliers to us, and we were so thrilled. They used to be her grandmother's, and they were the perfect addition above our bar space. The challenge was then we only had 2, and what would I do with that middle pendant? I didn't want anything to take away from the beautiful red chandeliers, so I decided to pick up a bowler hat, and Stephen cut a hole in it and we made it into a light. So it had its own character and didn't take away from the beautiful red chandeliers on either side. For the shelves behind the bar, we used old stair treads that we had taken out of the manor. We sanded them down, stained them up, and made them into our shelves behind the bar for all our bottles. And the end result with the black trim around the windows was stunning. All we needed now was some lights behind on those shelves so they would illuminate the bottles. We wanted to put back as many of the authentic characteristics of the Georgian manor as possible. So we bought some ceiling roses, painted them gold, and then put them up with a beautiful chandelier that we picked up at an auction. And then the other end of the pub, we added some more fabulous wallpaper, a really rich gold with the blue in it, which again, another great feature wall that looked perfect for an old, quirky English pub. I always had a vision in my head of panelled walls, and so we used trim that we picked up in bulk from Home Depot, put it on the wall to look like the panels, and then I painted them all in the blue so they all molded in and it gave this amazing panelled wall look.
This is one of the benches that we cut. It used to be 12 feet long. We cut it down the middle and we've now placed it in this corner of the pub. And this is basically where it's going to go. So this piece on the left-hand side will be cut shorter and pieced together with the piece on the right to make the corner. And it will be stained and finished. You can see it's been sitting in storage, so it's got all sorts of cobwebs and it's not looking too pretty right now, but I think this is going to work really well in that corner once it's cut down, stained and finished.
All we had to do was cut the angles for the corner just right so the pieces fit together, which I have to admit was a lot harder than we thought. But eventually, after many cuts and tweaks, we finally got the pieces exactly right. We filled them, and it was then time for me to stain them into the darker color. With the stain done, it actually started off looking very patchy, but over time it's kind of worn, and so now the benches have a really nice worn look to them. One of the final pieces was for us to create a wood beam look across the middle piece in the middle of the pub, and so we use pieces of wood on either side and underneath, and we stained them up again to make it look like a old beam, even though it actually was something we had created quite cheaply but very effectively. It was really important for us to give the pub its own character, and so I got Stephen to make me these little shelves on the top of the paneling, which I then painted again in the same blue. And this was the spot that I was going to add all my little knickknacks and interesting items that would give everyone something to look at when they came into the pub. We added finishing touches like wall sconces that we picked up at the auction, trim around the doors and windows, and we painted all the window frames in black. The final touch was to add our square cash till into the old cash register. And the end result was something very special. It is one of our favorite spaces in the manor, And now with all the details and all the pieces that we've added, it has really come together and looks completely different to that first day when we moved in. And this was a very plain white space, which needed a lot of TLC. And now it's a quirky English pub full of spaces where people can come and connect and be together. Our cash drawer works now in our old cash register, and each item, picture, has a story. And I just love talking to people and sharing those stories. And we're always adding new pieces and changing things around. So there's usually something new each time you come and visit us. And we still have a few things left to do. We have a couple of shelves that still need to go up. We are going to be building a mantle at this end around this fireplace to give it the fireplace. Hendrix has got his picture up, but it is a lovely space that we are thrilled to see so many people enjoy.
Why are you like staring at me? So it's hard to believe that this room used to be how it looked. Well, it's only 6 years ago since we moved in, and this room didn't even have a floor.
No, it was I used to get mad because you'd come down here sometimes and put things in. It's like, stop walking down there.
Yeah, you think I would actually fall through the floor, right? One day you're going to find me in the basement.
Exactly.
But I think, to be honest, this was actually the worst room in the whole house.
Yeah, it's
for condition, right?
It's because the chimney was leaking.
Yeah. So all the water would come down the chimney and then it would
run across the floor.
It rotted the floor.
Yeah. And
so the floor. So this is the only room actually in the house. We actually ended up having to replace the floor.
Yeah.
And put in new flooring. Like the whole rest of the house has got the original hardwood floor.
Exactly.
Except for this one room, right? Because we couldn't obviously save it. But people now come to the pub and they love the pub and they see it. But it's hard to explain how different it was. And the fact that nothing was here. I think some people come in and they think that this is how it was and we've just added a few bit more decor, right?
It didn't look anything
and
like
it was like, no, everything you see was not here.
Right.
Everything you see was added. But it's always interesting when you go back because it's now this is normal.
Right.
But you kind of forget how bad it was.
Well, it's funny when people come here to the pub, you can always tell it's their first time because they're like...
Yeah, they just spend their whole time looking round, gazing round.
Yeah.
But it's nice to think now that the space is, everyone's using it and enjoying it. And the funny thing is, the pub was never in our original plan.
No.
So when we moved here, we had no intention of having a pub. That wasn't the plan.
It was just going to be weddings and
events.
Yeah.
And then we had the idea that we could have a pub here for our wedding guests for the night before. So people come for the weekend for our weekend wedding. You rent the whole manor. And on the Friday night, you could come and have some drinks in the pub. And we started talking about that. And then we started hearing people saying, oh, I hear you're opening a pub. And we're like, we weren't planning on doing a public pub. But maybe that's got its own business, you know.
And if we hadn't known it was going to take 2.5 years.
Yeah, maybe. Do you think we would have done it? It's kind of hard. In hindsight, the pain and the difficulty we went through, I don't ever want to do that ever again.
No. In my head, we would have renovated the whole inside of this house in 6 months.
Yeah.
It's in my head.
That's what you thought.
Not 6 years.
Yeah. Well, though, that was kind of a bit ambitious. 6 months is a lot.
I know, but
I don't know whether we had no idea. I guess sometimes that's the best way of doing things if you don't know what you're going to get into. And once you're in it, you can't go back. So, but I don't think I would change anything now.
No, not at all.
Because I love, the pub is great. Everyone loves it. It's a great space. But yeah, it is interesting how plans change. You think you've got a plan of what you're doing, and then something better evolves. Because really, that's what's happened.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Something
absolutely.
way better than we imagined when we
Yeah.
first moved here has
Yeah.
come out of this, albeit a lot of
We're
hard
like
work.
a tree. We just bend in the wind.
Yes, and it's funny because
That's
when you
philosophical.
it's very philosophical. But when you watch the video and look back at all our work, I look at that and most people are like, oh my gosh, that looks exhausting. And I'm like, I look at that and think that was the easy part.
Yeah.
The hard part was not the bit of physically doing the work. It's all the red tape and the inspectors and the money that went out and the reports and yeah. That was the hard part.
Yeah. You don't realize how much goes into something that looks simple, but
Yeah.
how much behind the scenes stuff there is.
But we're going to continue adding. That's the nice thing. We've got our baseline now. We've got it open. We've got the hardest part done. So now we get to add. And you have a new addition. Just came today, right?
Yeah.
So we're adding another tap to our tap. So we've got
10 now.
10 now, so we will have 11.
Yeah.
So we have Guinness and Kilkenny. And then we have our 8 taps, which we have the Hascap Scowl. We have a variety of different local beers.
Yeah. All local craft breweries. Yeah.
So what are we adding?
Another UK beer,
Another UK beer.
and it's called Harp.
Yeah, so we are, if you like hop lager.
Yeah. And I have a.
So the tap arrived today. Obviously it is not installed yet.
See, Harp.
You got it upside down.
I got it upside down. There we go.
Yeah, so if you put it that way like that, yeah, there you go. So this will, it's kind of looks a little bit like our Kilkenny tap. So this will be fitted onto our bar and then we'll have the kegs downstairs.
Okay, I have a really silly question. Why is it backwards on the screen?
You're the photographer, you should know that. So yeah, so that's coming in the next few weeks, right?
It's my little friend.
It's like a little robot.
Hello.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to be adding that in next week. You said they're coming to
in a
fit
week
it?
and a half.
Week and a half, and then we'll have Harp on tap. So Harp, Kilkenny, and Guinness are all distributed by the same company.
Yeah.
They're all in the same family, and they all come from Ireland.
And it's a lager.
It's a lager, yeah.
It's not like Kilkenny and Guinness. Like it's not a nitrogen beer.
No.
It's actually a CO2 beer.
And it looks like a beer, like the golden
Yeah.
color, honey color.
And it's really good.
Lots of people like
Yeah,
it.
you and I
I
did some-
love it actually.
Yeah, we did some blind taste tests,
Yeah.
and it's gone over quite well.
Yeah. So that's our latest edition.
Yeah.
And we have more things coming in the summer for the pub.
Awesome.
And the plan for the beer garden, we keep getting asked, is that we're going to be opening that next Wednesday?
Yes.
Yes. We're just finishing off some final...
Wednesday coming.
Yeah. So that, yeah, next Wednesday. So we had our big windstorm. One of our pergolas got lifted and destroyed.
It's like the Wizard of Oz.
Like the Wizard of Oz, we've repaired it, but it also brought down all the lights that we have strung, so we've got to restring all. So anyway, we just got a few finishing touches.
Right.
And then the beer garden will be open. So that will be next week, and now the weather's starting to be nicer. We've got our flowers outside, so we're going to work on adding that. So yeah, it's starting to feel a bit more like summer here now, which is nice. And then obviously the harp as well. So you'll have to stay tuned over the next few months, because we will have some more exciting announcements of things that are coming in the summer. And obviously in the next couple of weeks, we will show you the harp tap being installed and the first pour of harp.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to plan a date to come on down and enjoy the pub.
Sounds like a plan.
So I guess we should get back to work. No rest for the wicked, hey?
No.
And we will see you back here next week for our next episode of the Ladysmith Manor Diaries.